We on the cusp, we going up, we elevate, yes to the heat. We on the cusp, we on the cusp, we on the cusp, we on the cusp. Look at us now, we running town.
Hey, what's going on, good people? We are here on the cusp with another episode. We're on the cusp of growth, on the cusp of elevation, on the cusp of progress, and we are going up. And you know, we got to bring these individuals who are here in our local market progressing on the cusp of growth in Northwest Ohio. And right now with me, I have a living legend, past city councilwoman, working with the mayor, making sure he knows what he needs to know to make sure that people got what they need. I got with us today Dr. Tiffany Whitman.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. That is quite an introduction.
You like that? Yeah, well, you know, quite an introduction for quite a woman. Yeah. You know, you're from Northwest Ohio. Yep. You're highly educated. Yep. Alma mater, Central Catholic.
Yes,
I'm a Central Catholic fighting Irish.
Yep.
Ohio State Buckeye. Yep. OHIO.
Yep.
We in the building.
Yep.
And you chose to come back to Toledo with your talents.
Yes, I did. And I'll be perfectly honest. I did not expect to come back to Toledo. That was not my plan. I think I probably joined a lot of Toledo natives in that respect. But, you know, for me, it's definitely been just an honor. And I'm glad that, you know, God placed me in this space to come back and serve my community.
Absolutely. And serve, you have your really big on education.
Yes.
It sounds like you came up in education as far as your career.
Yeah. So my background's in higher education. That's when I've spent most of my career doing either preparing students for college or helping them graduate from college. And I'm trained in history. I teach African American studies. So
wow.
that's my background.
Wow. So with your background in higher education, what pushed you to go into public service?
So, you know, I'll say this. I was raised in a family of public servants, educators, librarians, you know, law enforcement. So I have family members who are steeped in public service here in Toledo. And for me, I always seen that it was it's just a great honor and just to really work in your community and do that service. And really, when you look at justice, that's where it starts. From early in high school through college, I was involved and engaged. You know, I was on student council in high school, just always engaged. And then for me, education is public service, you know,
Absolutely.
And most of my experiences have been in public higher education. So I was used to working in big public systems. And then when the opportunity came, you know, it was something I've always wanted to do. And so I really seen it as an opportunity just to serve on just another level, being on city council.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a huge honor in itself.
Yes.
What was your experience like on city council?
Yeah, so I was an appointed at-large council member. I ran, and then obviously I was elected. It was a great experience. For me, I really wanted to come in with an agenda, a policy agenda. I know sometimes, you know, I wanted the public to know that I had a plan and what I seen to address our issues. So I was all about youth development, safe neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I was also about business inclusion, which, you know, we'll talk a little bit about today. But to me, I was always passionate about really, in order to see a city thrive, you have to make sure everyone's included in that ecosystem. And so you have to start, you address the whole, but you also have to address those who are on the margins. And so that's something I really was passionate about.
100%. Yeah. And it's important that we have people like you in those positions to think about those people that are marginalized. Because I say, you know, and they say we're only as strong as our weakest link. Yep. You know, America's only going to be as strong as the people that are the most marginalized. You know, and so to have champions like you in that position.
Yes, and definitely we think of a city cannot grow, it cannot prosper if you don't have people, you know, contributing. So if you think about it, and I say this over and over again, especially talking about DI and my position with the city now, is that you need people, you need everyone working, living, be an entrepreneur here in the city of Toledo in order for us to thrive as a city.
It's a community,
ultimately,
and you know, we come together. We have our competencies and we have our capacities, but when we come together, it's a beautiful thing. So speaking of that, you know, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You were appointed by Mayor Kapsakavage at the beginning of this year as the director of the Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the city.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. So, I think it was, when I came on council, I think my biggest thing was, and I told my husband, we have 3 children, I made a promise that, this was really about public service for me.
Yes.
And I went into it and I promised that I wouldn't just be, I'm calling for lack of better words, like a political hack, that I was going to just be someone to stay in a position. And if an opportunity came along that I seen, that I would take it. I did not know, with that being said, I didn't know that it would come as soon as it did. But when I looked at the opportunity to be the Director and Chief Equity Officer, it was really just a way to deepen the work I had already accomplished on council. And so I couldn't pass it up. It is very rare. There's only been a few instances where you had, a council member who could go and be appointed by a mayor, be trusted, as both a policymaker and then someone who's actually an executive. So that's something that I couldn't pass up. So I was really excited. There was just a number of projects I've been able to continue. Obviously, I miss being, I miss being on council. I love being really a public servant. I love people. I'm a natural helper.
Yes.
So, I never minded people come up and they would complain, whatever. I enjoyed it. I enjoy engaging with community. And, I miss my colleagues. However, being a part of a body of 12 is not easy.
Yes.
And so that part of it, I don't miss as much, but I definitely think that, politics will be there for me if it's for me in the future. But for now, I really am really excited about being in this role.
Yeah, I can imagine that couldn't have been an easy decision to make. City council is great.
Yeah.
But to have that position open to you by the mayor at that, that couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, it was not an easy, and I said this to my colleagues, it was definitely a decision that I made with much prayer and time with my family. But then, like I said, when I initially went on council, I was like, if something comes along, I want to be ready to say pivot. And I feel like I have the freedom to do so. I'm still working in the whole goal. We're all working for the best interest of the city.
Right.
And so that's ultimately what I looked at. But I think what really kind of pushed me over a little bit was the fact that I'm doing some great work. I get to work with a really good team on an everyday basis. And I'm still really, I think when you work for the city, you have even more of your day to day. You're getting up and you're thinking about, how do I serve residents?
Absolutely.
How do I serve employees of the city? And so that's a great opportunity for me.
Yeah. So talk about your position. You said projects that you're working on. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So I'll talk about my role in general, and then I'll talk about kind of what, we could talk about today, what's coming up. Yeah. So in my role as Director of the Department and Chief Equity Officer, really, I'm at the forefront of making sure we have, as a city, that we're welcoming and inclusive. And that, for the department, our mission is to really make sure we have safe and equitable work environments for our employees, but then also for our residents in general, to make sure that we have inclusive business opportunities. And then third, that we're actually advocating for systemic change. There are systemic issues in our community that need to be addressed. And so that is really our mission as a department. There are areas that fall under my area: accessibility, compliance investigation, workplace culture, business supplier inclusion, and then also advocacy and opportunity. And so on a daily basis, we're operating, myself as well as the managers and other staff are really working to make sure in all those areas as a city, and working with the mayor's office, that we're accomplishing those outcomes, both for our employees and residents. But specifically, a big part of my work has really building up our business inclusion program as a city. When I was on city council, I led the work to pass and implement our disparity study, and so which really looks at the availability of work as a city that we have, where we're spending our money ultimately as a city,
right.
And who's being left out of that and those opportunities. And so when we looked at the area of construction, design, professional services, goods and services, we started to realize that we had to build up opportunities for minority businesses, women businesses, veteran-owned businesses, but then also just small businesses in general. And so that was 2022 is when we passed the disparity study. And so now on this side of the work, I'm actually building up the program to implement those recommendations. So a big part of that is our upcoming summit that we have, our inaugural Business and Supplier Business and Supplier Empowerment Summit that will take place this Thursday, September 19th, from 1 to 4 p.m. at the main library. And we just want people who are working in the areas of construction, design, professional services, so trucking, hauling, you think about it, lecture work. We want them to come out and hear about the opportunities we have. We have 3 large infrastructure projects that the city, most of it is grant funded, but we also have some that is just from a levy that was passed for our water treatment plant. But we are looking to, and we're talking about in the hundreds of millions, infrastructure projects and work that will be needed. So one of the big recommendations from the disparity study is that we need to share out our opportunities.
Absolutely.
We hear that all the time. People said, we didn't know the city was doing this project. Yeah. How can I get involved? And so this summit is something that we want to continue on and eventually have partners be a part of it as well. But just the opportunity to share out project information so people can prepare, especially small businesses. You need opportunities for you to prepare, to bid on contracts. And so this upcoming summit is a great way to do that.
No, we got to get that information out because, we talk about how Toledo is a great place to invest your money, build business here. But for the people that are living here, we need opportunities as well. So to say again, when is it?
Yes, it is Thursday, September 19th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the main public library.
Okay, and so people that are eligible, people that have businesses to do with real estate development.
Yeah, sort of in a way. So it's mainly focused on infrastructure projects. So people who are in construction, design, professional services, those who might be buyers or who talk about large scale suppliers. But I would encourage anyone to be there because if you think you have a mutual interest, and I've had people reach out to me, I work, more on doing office management things, real estate. There are going to be people in the room that might be good for you to connect because obviously there's definitely some mutual emphasis or say mutual interest for people who work in the field.
I got you. I'm just trying to get a feel. So people that, what about like people good with concrete, people that have business in concrete?
That's
what
we're
about
talking about
electricians?
Yes, all of that. Yes, people who are really in the business of infrastructure. Again, please come. We're going to talk about our roadway projects. So we have, we'll talk about our annual roadway projects, but we'll also talk about 2 large projects that we're doing, and we'll also talk about our water treatment plant that we're updating. So yeah.
Well, the thing about Toledo right now is there's construction everywhere.
It is.
So people, you better come get a piece of it because as long as roads are being built, jobs are being provided.
Yes. And there's more to come. I can't say right now, but there are going to be additional projects as well. So I think that my focus right now, so in addition to the summit, we've made a lot of internal changes so we can be more business friendly for people who want to do business with the city. And also we're rolling out a new certification, all online certification streamlined process. So if people want to certify as a minority, a woman-owned, or small business, they can do so through the city and through this online portal, our C3 portal that will be coming out in October. Yeah.
What I love, what I'm hearing is you're making a pathway for people who have been left out before. Yes. To get a piece of that pie.
Yes. And that's really the focus of our disparity study. And what I'm really excited about is I think initially when we had the disparity study, people were like, you're just going to leave it on the shelf. City's not going to do anything, and to be honest, and I understand that just because of the historical track record, but we've really been intentional. And from the time that I've taken the job, we've been intentional about providing resources and making good on the recommendations that were made. And so most of it has been focused internally, but now people are starting to see how we are externally implementing some of the recommendations. And so it's exciting. We're also hiring. So we're going to hire this is going to be their full-time job to support our minority, women-owned, and small businesses in the area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it sounds like, when you went into public service at the city council level, you laid some groundwork and now you're in a position where you can execute some of the groundwork
Yes.
that was laid.
Yes, and then that's exactly what it is. And I'll be honest. I think personally, I always thought, and I was like, I'm gonna be on council, but I'm still gonna be in higher ed, and but I never thought I would just fall in love in local government. I had, really,
Wow.
it's just a different level to care for residents, to make sure people are thriving. Whether it's people, making sure their neighborhoods are clean, they get trash picked up, or a lot of the work that's being done in our Department of Housing, making sure people have pathways to home ownership. And, when you think about equity, that's just another piece of it. Or it's even the work that we're doing really to address violence, gun violence in our community.
Yeah.
So I never thought I would really, really have a passion like I have. And so this has been really exciting for me.
Yeah. Well, and for what you just said, speaking specifically like on gun violence, I truly believe that crime is a symptom of poverty.
Yep.
And so it is important that we provide opportunities, because when people don't have hope,
Yep.
or they don't have anyone to look up to,
Yep.
that's when they're hopeless and they do those things that
Yes.
are detrimental to their communities.
Yes.
And so by
Yes.
providing those opportunities to people in our communities, I think that's going to help some of that.
It is, and it does work hand in hand. In fact, that was one of the other pieces, being on council, leading the work to make sure we actually create an office that addresses violence. And Director Malcolm Cunningham, another Central alum,
Yeah.
also Ohio State, alum, has been doing some amazing work with his Save Our Community staff, but also their new plan, Peace in Motion, to really make that connection. But one of the things him and I always talk about is opportunity. A big part of this is who's getting opportunity. And one of the recent conversations we've had, especially in planning the summit, is we need to offer people, sometimes when people are swirling in that cycle of violence, we always say, go get a job, make them do this.
Yeah,
but
no.
why don't we teach them entrepreneurship? Why aren't we teaching them, I don't know, why aren't they becoming, a real estate? We have to really think outside the bounds in terms of when we have someone who is in a cycle where they are either at risk of being shot or being a shooter. Yes, we want them to have jobs, but some of them might want to be entrepreneurs. They might want to own their own business.
Absolutely.
So again, all these things tied together.
Well, if you ask me, I think most of them do
Yes.
want to own their
Yes.
own. Because
Yep.
the truth be told, if you look at black men specifically, they've been disenfranchised
Yep.
from that whole the
Yep.
economic system of being employed. I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yes,
it's hard for me.
Yes,
So I mean,
yes.
that's necessary, but it takes. There's not just one solution.
Nope.
It takes many solutions working together in collaboration to make a difference. And those differences, we pray that we can make differences. We will make differences individually, but it has to happen over the course of a generation or 2 generations, because this is not something that just popped up overnight.
Oh, no, it's not. No. So there's a lot of work, but a lot of it is making sure as a city we're laying that groundwork. And so, as you said, that's really what I'm coming into this role. When I think about equity, I know sometimes we focus so much on DEI and just training identity.
Yeah.
But it's also, again, for Toledoans, I want everybody, regardless of their background, to wake up and be able to walk outside their door and to thrive. And so really we have to work with our nonprofit community, our partners at the county, to make sure that we are laying the groundwork so people can really thrive in Toledo.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I mean, my vision of America and Toledo is a place where someone that has discipline, someone that has drive, someone that's consistent and persistent, they can achieve their dreams. And that's what it sounds like your work is doing.
Yes. So we know there's a lot of, there's a lot of work foundationally to do in that area. And we know historically that has not, necessarily been the case. But my focus is to, in many areas as I can, lay that foundation so we can have more people prosper in our community.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing it. And we appreciate you.
No
I thank you for the work that you're doing, because to know that there are people like you in offices that actually have influence over what's being done in the city, that makes me feel better.
No, I really appreciate that and appreciate what you're doing, especially you're actually, when you think about being a real estate broker, you are actually touching on the equity issue of our time, housing.
Yes.
And so I think it's so important that we continue to have these conversations to educate the community. I know there's a lot of advocacy. I think when people think about DEI and think about some of the things, advocacy is the first step, and really now we're trying to get into implementation, think about coming out of 2020. I think there's still a lot of that work is being done. It's just, it takes time to kind of chip away at these historical multiple systemic issues that we have. But I think in the space in housing, I really appreciate your leadership. And just seeing the Black leaders that we have in that space is so important, especially as someone, I've been a long time home over my husband for years here in Toledo, but also we had a couple of serious incidents around discrimination in housing. So that's really important.
Well, you know the power of home ownership. At being a long time homeowner, you know how much you bought your house for. You know how much it's worth now. You know how much equity you have. You know what type of nest egg that provides. You know, but for millions of us across America. Just here in Northwest Ohio, the last U.S. Census, the white home ownership rate, 71% of white households in Northwest Ohio own their home. 71% of white households versus 41% of Black households. That's actually up, because when I started back in when I started doing the research back in like 2016, 17, it was only 36% Black households. So we are working to bridge that homeownership gap, because homeownership is the way that most Americans build their net worth, build wealth in America.
It is. No, it's so important. And I know Director Clemens, who is over our housing community development, that's been her passion. You know, how do we create these pathways for home ownership, but also she's really building up other units throughout our community as well. So, and being very unapologetic about it. I don't know if you've met Director Clemens, but
have I? You know, we were honored to host her for a general body meeting for our realtors board here. And again, she's one of those people that to see that there's someone in our local government that has influence, that is implementing ideas and policies that benefit the greater good. That makes me feel better.
Oh, it does. And Director Clemens is known nationally. I mean, she has really kind of set the bar coming from the East Coast and some of the work she's done. And so even when she's come here, it's funny because she's been so complimentary of Toledo. Look at the housing stock that we have. She was like, people should want to come and invest here. Developers should want to come invest here. So again, she's another, I say, really partner in the work that I'm doing. Just some of the things that she's doing to really increase access to, you know, not only home ownership and making sure with the lead work we're doing, people should be in safe and healthy spaces raising families. And so she's really doing a phenomenal job.
She's doing it. And applicably, I mean, practically as well. One of the biggest gripes that I had before she took that position, our City of Toledo's down payment assistance. It's a great opportunity. $7,500, $9,500 from the city. Okay, great. But what happens when it takes 3-6 months for that money to disperse? It's not effective. But when she came in, I mean, this is something that as realtors we have been advocating to the city. But when she stepped in, streamlined it to 21 days.
Yes, she is really, and she's been adamant to really get that program and make that program sustainable. So so I love these opportunities. Again, thank you for having, because I think we don't do enough for the city to tell our stories, to tell the work that's being done throughout the organization to address equity. There's a lot of work being done. The hard thing when you're in a community, and the reality is we have a lot that we need to take care of. And I've had conversations with the mayor, like there's a lot of things that we didn't do in the past, and so we have a lot of ground to make up for, but the work is being done and started. So
absolutely. We appreciate the work that you are doing. I know you're a busy woman. You have anything else for the people?
No. I just, the biggest, again, I appreciate the opportunity. I just want to make sure that whenever you think about City of Toledo and you think about DEI, you think about equity, again, the focus is making sure that everyone's included in opportunities you have in the city, that everyone's able to thrive and prosper. And so that groundwork is being laid, and that people come to our upcoming Business Summit that is this Thursday, September 19th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the main library.
It's going down.
Yes.
So I'm going to get this out so that people know about it.
I appreciate
that. And before you go, I do want to give a shout out to Malcolm Cunningham.
Yes, please do.
Me and Malcolm, he graduated a year before me. We used to sit together at the lunch table. That's my guy. He's doing great work as well. You all are doing great work.
I appreciate that.
Keep it up.
Yes.
And if you ever have anything else for the people, I'm here.
Okay.
I help you get it out there.
Okay, good. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.